I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. Fire in the veins, I fight to gain, breaking all the rules to keep me sane. Living the moment till I die. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. No matter how hard we try.
Going on. Hey guys, and welcome to the weekly English shooting live stream here in the Blue Fieldsports gunroom. And of course, I'm joined here with Connors.
Howdy doodly.
Yes, usual thing. If you're a regular to this stream, you'll know what it's all about and what to do. If you're new to the stream, thank you very much for joining, and put your questions or comments down below. Anything you want to talk about, any shooting, gun-related questions or topics you want to get the ball rolling on, yeah, keep the stream flowing, and of course make sure you hit the thumbs up button to help with the analytics on YouTube. And a big thank you already to Xbox One Geeks and Arius for your donations. You can
Wait, you said his name?
Yeah, well, I acknowledge him when he gives me money, and he's not giving me constant abuse. But yeah, so guys, if you want to support the channel, you can donate here, or there is a Patreon as well. It does all get reinvested into the channel to continue making all of the excellent videos that we make.
We are on a slightly different camera today, so let us know what you think. Is it better? Is it worse? Personally, I think it's a lot better.
And as always, in terms of audio, in terms of video, if there's anything that happens during the stream, if it's too quiet, if the feed goes down, let us know, and we will do our best to fix it.
We will do our best. The voice of God will do it.
The voice of God off camera.
Yeah, I'm here too.
So yeah, I see you guys have already been chatting already, so we'll give you a little bit just to get any questions in, and anything you want to talk about. So prepared, I forgot to share it all over Facebook, so I'm currently going to do that now, because we want to get as many people onto the stream as possible. And if you guys know anybody that would be interested in joining in this stream, that wants to learn about guns, getting into shooting, any particular questions about guns, then invite them over, share the link, help grow the channel. Just a little caveat that, of course, being on YouTube, we can't actually handle any firearms, unfortunately, and whilst we may be surrounded by guns, we can only sort of point and talk, but there are a few available for us to sort of talk about and go into depth, so anything you want to know.
I mean, the questions are rolling in, so do you want to start with the first one?
Let's go for it.
Yeah. So I think the first question that came on here was, we'll scroll up a bit, have you spam listed me, Mr. Long Collins?
Have I spam listed? Who's that
the
from?
Arius, of course.
Maybe. I can neither confirm nor deny Arius. I think YouTube has done that to you because you have just spammed that. So he's gone to his real account instead of Mr. Mochaccino. But no, I haven't, although there are other moderators, and if Carl is about, who is one of the moderators, we all know how Carl likes randomly banning people or putting step. Again, I think that was just jealousy out of parking spaces and all that. But old joke.
So where's Fudd at? He is manning the camera currently. Which is why it's so still.
Yeah, but he's still scared. We are very much looking after Elmer Fudd. He is a fixture in the gun room. Alex did say that he would only allow him to be in here for 2 or 3 days. We've managed to spread that for over a week.
I think I said a week. And today is a week, so he's going pretty soon.
Oh, that means he's going to have to go into our very crowded office. But no, we can't. I can't shoot Elmer Fudd. He's had a hard enough time about it, guys. If you don't know what we're talking about, Warner Brothers made the decision to remove guns from Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam, and basically to reduce gun violence. And Elmer Fudd, he's not shy to the camera, so he's going to make a quick appearance and say hello, so to show you that we are taking care of him. But yeah, we've had a few videos out this week, which we will get into. A couple of guns that I'm sure you're all wanting to talk about. I am still currently sharing across Facebook.
Cool.
So,
let's get into the next question then, because it's a very controversial question.
Oh dear.
What are our thoughts on the Benelli Supernova?
Do you want to take that one then?
Yes. What do you want to know? If you want a pump action and you can afford a Supernova, then there isn't a better gun out there. That's kind of it, really.
My opinion, and Connors is going to say as always, but my opinion doesn't really matter on this subject, especially compared to Connors, because you've used one now for what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
You know them inside and out. You've made loads of modifications for them. You've made loads of modifications to your gun. You literally know them inside and out. And just from what Connors has shown me and what I've seen it in matches, and not just Connors as well, there's a whole host of people that use the Supernova. It is just an absolute, excuse the pun, bulletproof gun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has its issues like any gun does, but working here at Blue Fieldsports, I have a privilege of seeing a lot of different guns every day, and I think I've seen now every single pump that you could potentially ever want to use on the circuit here in the gun room, and nothing is quite built the same way as a Benelli Supernova. Yes, they are very agricultural. They are quite heavy guns. That's something to bear in mind, despite being made of plastic, because the receiver is actually mostly reinforced with steel, which makes it quite heavy over an aluminium gun. But once they're running right, they run very, very well, very slick, very easy to modify as well.
Very easy to load.
Very easy to load, actually, even without a port job, very easy to load. Oh, and the best bit is, if you want a port job, you don't have to RFD transfer the gun, because you can just send them the trigger group, which is a non-controlled part. Yeah. And the entire port job is performed on that. However, with us, we like to have the whole gun, because there's a whole host of other bits we do to the rest of it, like the pump handle and things. So
yeah, it's sort of like tuning an engine without it being in the car.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but it's better to have the car there.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it's sort of a thumbs up from me for the Supernova, and as well, compared to other Benellis, it's not at a bad price point. It's a really good, I would say, just general starter gun. I mean, one thing that I would be mindful of, it depends on your stature and how long your arms are. I really struggle to operate even with the Maglow short action bars.
That said, I have my pump handle cut down to the absolute minimum it can be cut down to, and then I have a shot saver mounted to the rear, which forces your hand still to the very front of the pump action. Okay. If we take another shooter, for example, like Matt Liddy, he actually holds the pump handle somewhere in the middle.
Sure. Okay. Well, he said he actually removed his shot saver because of that. But whenever I go to sort of play around with Connors, I always feel like I'm out front. I find it very unwieldy, certainly compared to, say, a Benelli M2 or a 1301.
Mine is hacked to oblivion. Hence the new gun sitting there waiting to be filmed so I can do it up. And
we talked about this last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Still hasn't been filmed, has it?
And the week before. And it's been going on since about February.
We'll get that filmed sooner rather than later for you.
I mean, it's very uncharacteristic for you to say you're going to do something and not do it.
Oi. less of that.
Should we talk about shot savers?
No, no. I might have unfortunately left off a shot saver from a packing list. So there's a customer that's been waiting far too long for it, but we're sorting that out. All my fault, all my mistake. Of course, Connors can never be to blame for anything at all.
Completely infallible.
But one of the original questions from Xbox One Geeks. So the Lantac video, this is actually one of the videos that I was going to talk about. I do always like going through with you guys about videos in the past week and if there's any further questions that you guys want to talk about. But it is a point that a lot of people have brought up. So he's asked that in the video I talk about changing or how easy it is to change the Lantac LA SF15 in 2.2 rimfire. How easy it is to convert from 2.2 rimfire to 2.2.3. Now, what I meant by that is how easy it would be to convert it to a straight pull so that it's UK legal. It could, if you had the right parts, be converted to a semi-auto 2.2.3. Of course, that would be completely legal, and we do not advise that.
Illegal.
Completely illegal. Illegal?
Illegal.
Illegal. It's
It would
been
be
a
illegal.
long day. It'd be completely illegal.
I do start to worry about how much you blur the lines between the two.
So you obviously don't want to be converting a 2.2 semi-automatic to a 2.2.3 semi-automatic, but yes, you could have a slot put in the side, put a charging handle on it, and even, I guess as well, what I meant by that as well is that if you were shooting international competitions, you can of course have it as 2.2 rimfire here, and then go out, drop a 2.2.3 upper on it, convert it, whatever. It's really flexible. At the end of the day, it's, as far as I believe, the only full mil-spec 2.2 out there. Maybe apart from the Northwest Custom Parts guns.
Well, Northwest Custom Parts is a custom gun.
Yes.
It's not a production off the shelf thing.
Yeah.
And you are not going to get it for anywhere near the same price.
No, I would say that Wayne's guns are going to
Start about $2,000. I reckon,
yeah. If you want any sort of minimum like good standard, they're going to be £2,000 plus. Obviously, Lantac have, they're a bigger company. They've been able to refine it and get the costs down. So you can pick up an LA SF15 for, I think it's around £1,100 starting, and then about £1,300.
12
Yeah,
version,
and I mean, like, that's why I was so impressed with the rifle overall, because
it's cheaper than a Chris.
it's cheaper than a Chris. It's around the same as a Titman. Yes, it's not as cheap as a 1522, but then the 1522 is not a full mil-spec, full metal gun. So
it is a toy gun
yeah,
that just happens to be right for certain types of competition.
oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm still a huge fan of it.
It's
like
very
we both have one.
Yeah.
We both use them for competition and general
Currently
blinking.
building another different gun though.
Yes.
Yes.
He's slowly with all the spare bits that seem to be lying about.
Thank you, Dan.
And you seem to accumulate.
Yeah.
He's got this gun and it's slowly getting more and more parts, and so far you haven't spent a single penny on it. He's going to end up getting a full free gun at this rate.
I'm probably going to have to buy the battle arms parts.
Yes. Oh, well, what I suppose you don't really have. Oh no, do you have an upper and a lower?
I've got an upper and lower, but
Not the battle arms.
I've got the battle arms upper and lower.
But they're on loan.
They're on loan. I'd have to pay for those.
Yes.
And
But I thought you had Dan's old upper.
I
and
do.
lower.
I have.
So he actually has. Well, okay, one's on loan and one is for you to keep. But you do have two sets of uppers and lowers at the moment.
This is after me asking several people to send me a mil-spec lower that I was happy to pay for for months and months and months and months. And Dan's like, here you go.
They're like buses.
Here you go, poor
And
person.
I'll just clarify on he has. Blue Fieldsports has. The
Blue
Connors
Fields-
is working on. They're not randomly sitting in his bedroom.
No. Here you go, poor person. Have a lower receiver.
Give them out like sweeties. Well, talking about giving guns
We
out.
thank you for your generosity.
Talking about giving guns out like sweeties. Alex ended up on iWholesale. Well, we can handle the boxes.
They're not guns.
Can you?
Okay, no, let's just talk about it.
I don't
talk
wanna-
about it. So iWholesale are like the premier, largest action airsoft sort of distributor in
You
the
can't say
country.
what the prices are.
I can't say what the prices are. Obviously, we have a trade account with them, and Alex ended up going on there looking for a few bits that he needed, and realised that there were a load of guns that were ridiculously cheap.
Like, ridiculously cheap.
Like
I, I think saying the number for this wouldn't matter because these are the kind of like toy
no,
giveaways.
it's still it's trade
No?
prices and all
yeah,
that.
yeah, we
kind of
don't.
But
don't
they
wanna
are
get tough.
so unbelievably cheap.
Well, they're so unbelievably cheap that he bought about 20 of them and is now giving them away with pretty much any purchase in the gun store, in the gun room. So if you want to come and buy a gun at Blue Fieldsports and receive a free airsoft gun, well, you know where to come.
Yeah.
Just a couple of thank yous as well. I've seen a couple of other donations. So we've got Paulio. Is it Paulo? Paolo.
They're dyslexic.
Can we just keep the name simple for me, please? Paolo. So Paolo. Oh God, I'm going to shut up. You know what your name is. You know who I'm talking about. So, can I get an FAC? It's very hot today. All right, my brain is.
I thought
fried.
we were not going to talk about the heat.
But we cannot. We normally have the door shut because of noise. So we apologise if there's too much background noise. But it's too hot. It is too hot today. I'm sure you all know about this if you're in the UK. I'm sure it doesn't come as a surprise. So we're glugging down the Pepsi Max. It's the only thing keeping us alive. But anyway, Paolo, there we go, got it in the end. Can I get an FAC even if I live in a rental room? Is it possible to keep my firearm in the shooting club? Yes, it's not...
I can answer this one really well, actually.
Okay, yeah.
So I used to live in a shared house.
Mhm.
None of the rooms had locks on the doors, which means it's a shared house. You're not renting the rooms individually. Even an individually rented room is actually a better situation. But I had the gun safe downstairs in a communal area, because what my FEO said at the time, and this is in Sussex, is that as long as I was the only one who had access to it, i.e. the keys, then it's all good. Because the safe can be there, but no one else can get into it. If you're in a rented room and you're allowed to bolt the safe to your wall, then great. If you're not allowed to bolt the safe to your wall, bolt the safe to your wall anyway. And when you leave, Colgate whitening fills the holes really well. So sorry to any of my previous landlords.
Yeah, but at least it smells minty fresh. You know?
Minty fresh.
Oh, it smells really good in here. The walls especially. Yeah, so it's not a complete blanket. No, I mean, you know, there's students that have guns as well.
But speak to your FEO. That's the best advice.
I mean, it's going to vary from force to force, as it always does. It's sort of like how long is a piece of string. Some are going to be more stringent than others. But yeah, there's nothing within the guidance, there's nothing within the law that says that you have to own the property, or the property has to be void of anybody else other than the FAC holder. So
when you think about it, if you're living, when lots of people live with a partner who doesn't have an FAC, they're living in shared accommodation effectively.
Yeah.
It's not out of the norm. It's all about when you speak to your FEO, it's all about who has access to the safe.
Exactly. And worst case, if you know, depending on the area you live, depending on the property, you know, if it is a really high crime rate area, if there have been issues at that property before, then the absolute worst case is yes, you can keep it at a club. So I used to rent a locker at the club in London, and that's where I stored all my guns during the week, and then I would take them home for the weekend and then go back up there. And again, that was absolutely fine. And the gun shop as well. Most gun shops will offer fairly cheap rates storage. It's not astronomical, usually a couple of £1 a week for each gun. Which
some clubs don't charge you at all. So it's down to your local club, so you see what they say.
So we've got a question from Nick. Thanks, Nick, for joining us. Nick is part of the team at the World Gun Owners Association. Always like to give those guys a big shout out. It's a great group over on Facebook, so go and check out the World Gun Owners Association. Everything gun related from all across the world, as the name would suggest. So Nick has asked, what did the milling machine get named in the end?
Okay, right, so it's not a milling machine, it's a lathe. And for that very reason, the name that I like the most at the moment is Lathy Susan. I haven't settled on it.
That might be... the thing is, it does mill though.
So technically speaking, I've been trying to track down what you'd actually call this machine, because it's a sick hybrid of many, many other things. So it's called an XZCCY lathe. Because it's got an X-axis, a Z-axis, right? And then after that, you generally get one C-axis. And then this has a second C-axis, and then Y-axis, which is like the rarest of all the features. But it's also got the part grabber. So it's actually an XZCCYPPOMFMFG.
And if you're still with us, guys, so no, there hasn't been a name yet. Nick.
No, but I'm liking Lady Susan.
I'm liking Lazy Susan as
Lathy.
well. I can't speak tonight, so that's the closest you're going to get to it.
Yeah, no, it's a cool machine. Hopefully we can show you some. I think we've already put a video up of it dancing.
Yeah, so if you want to see the machine that we're talking about, and we've been talking about it a lot because it's really exciting here at the moment with Magload. We've got a big new toy, and it is very big. Like we could both probably fit inside of it.
Yep, the entire setup is just shy of 10 tons.
Yeah,
so
it was a little unnerving watching it being hoisted off the back of a lorry.
On a crane of all things.
On a crane, and then under some telecom lines. Like the guy had skills. The way he manoeuvred that thing round, and we're just like, we're going to stand back because if that thing goes, someone's getting crushed.
The most surprising thing was, so he moved it into the door of the unit.
Yeah.
And then onto skates, and then from there,
we pushed it.
Well, it took 4 of us to push it.
Yeah.
But we pushed it into position, and the concrete in there isn't particularly even. So
it was pretty incredible.
Impressive, yeah.
But yeah, if you want to know what we're talking about, head over to the Magload Facebook page. You'll see a video of the machine up and running. Not fully; it was sort of a dry run.
It's a dry run, so there's no tooling in there. I have been down there today setting up some tooling, identifying a couple of calibration issues, which I'm going to need to get over. But yeah, it's going to be a long road to getting this thing absolutely all singing, all dancing, but we shouldn't be able to get some of the more basic products coming off of it in the very near future.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
We are working very, very hard. It's all very. There's lots of things going on at the moment, which we're very, very, very excited about, and we've got the van supposedly coming at some point.
The Magbus.
The salesman's gone a bit quiet on us. He got the yes, and then it's like, okay, I've got the yes, and he's probably put that down for his month's figures. So we will have the new Magbus at some point. But anyway, back onto your questions, because this is all about you guys.
Would we ever consider 3D printing a 1522 trigger? Now, it sounds like a really silly question, but the only sort of bit that needs to be metal on the trigger bow area is the sit.
And the hammer.
And the hammer, of course, on the trigger bow part.
Yeah.
And I do have an idea, but not any designs down on paper just yet, of a trigger system with a fully interchangeable set of trigger blades. Now, this is not a new idea by any stretch of the imagination, but I'd like to be able to print a bunch of stuff. I'm a huge fan of plastic controls on guns because they don't get hot when it's hot out, they don't get cold when it's cold out, they're always grippy even when it's raining, and there's a lot of good reasons to go for plastic controls, and a trigger is one of those controls.
Well, and actually, as we speak, your gun, your Spinelli Supernova.
It has a working prototype in there of a plastic trigger.
And it is a very, don't get excited guys, it was you having a bit of a play of, I think I can do that, and you know, sometimes it does take you 18 months, 2 years to actually release a product.
Yeah, and this one actually, so it's part of a bigger product package, but that's been going since September last year, I think is when we started making the first prototypes. We started designing it even earlier than that. So some of these things, especially things that have like a high risk attached to them if they go wrong, like a trigger, they have a much longer development cycle than other things.
And your 1022 also has plastic, but that's like an FDM and even like earlier prototype.
The 1022 has got some ridiculous things printed on it.
We need to do a video on that at some point.
Yeah, we should take it apart and show you all the bits inside, and it'd be interesting to show you what a 1022 from 1980, whatever it is, looks like.
Probably exactly the same as a
far
modern day one.
It's not far off.
Big thanks to Richard for his donation for the Pepsi challenge. I didn't know if there was a challenge. Are we meant to be challenging?
I'd happily drain this one.
I'm not challenging him to a Pepsi drinking competition, that's for sure.
You know what? I actually think I can say quite comfortably we probably had about half a case of Pepsi between us.
What, today alone?
Today alone. Yeah.
Again, guys,
not including the stuff I took down to the unit.
if you didn't realise, it's bloody hot. But don't be a dickhead and go down to the Bournemouth beach. Have you seen that?
People have been doing that.
Like
it's not like we're in the middle of a pandemic or anything.
No, exactly, right? Who'd have guessed? There's a picture of Bournemouth Beach, and you cannot see sand. Right? You cannot see sand for people.
Can you say second wave?
Yeah. Well, we've got the protests, haven't we? Like, we haven't yet seen a second wave.
People don't want to live.
Yeah, but for some people, it's sort of understandable. Like anti-gunners. Anyway, moving on. Alex is actually just getting a photo if you haven't seen it, so it is going to flash up on the screen at some point. But it's absolutely incredible. I mean, I know we're all chomping at the bit to get back into it, and slowly things are loosening up. We've got the
The very first competition of the season is coming up.
That's Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah,
No, Saturday. This Saturday.
It is not an official IPSC competition.
Yeah.
Because UK PSA have not yet allowed IPSC competitions to go ahead. It is a club match, a KFC match, and as such, it is limited to KFC members. This is what is left of the original Meon Valley match, which understandably has been delayed several times because of waiting to see what happens. But this is the match going ahead, and I have been told very, very reliably that if we can pull this match off with the few people we do have, as things ease up more, we'll be having a lot more matches at the venue, and the venue should be really good.
Yeah, and I believe
not the best quality photo, but that was apparently from the Mail today.
Here we go. So this is it. This is Bournemouth Beach today. Yeah, 2 metre rule, everyone. I mean, look, you know, we sort of have an exemption because, you know, we work together and all that, but even we here now are trying to, hello, I don't need anything to make me shorter, that's for sure. I'm eating the beach. You say that like it's normal.
Doesn't everyone eat beaches?
Help. Don't jump the gun. Like, I know we all want to get back out there, we want to do it, but it's got to be sensible. It's, you know, what I'm more worried about is that we're easy targets as the shooting community.
Yeah.
If we go out there and do something wrong, it will be plastered everywhere. So we've got to be whiter than white. We've got to be, you know, the model upstanding citizens out there. So to see stuff like that, it does absolutely annoy me, because we've, you know, done some real, put into place some real measures that have really inconvenienced us, that have been a real ball ache, and then you see people like that, and then you think about the frontline workers as well, and what they've been through the last few months.
So NHS workers are double masking. They're having to work through this heat, wearing 2 masks. They're wearing like dust suits over scrubs and things like that, and people are going out and doing this. What sort of respect does that show to the people who are out there trying to save your life?
Exactly.
Anyway, let's go on to more joy things.
We have a topic that is on our favourite topic of practical. So Richard Weston has asked thoughts on the Benelli M2 practical. So I guess you mean the M2 practical, the SP or the M2.
Yes. So the M2 practical is a huge no-no.
So just as a reference, behind us here, the shotgun at the back, that is the bog standard Benelli M2.
Yeah, that is the Benelli M2 field.
Yeah.
The M2 practical, do not touch with a barge pole. It is not a practical gun, not by a long shot. And worse than that, it's very difficult to convert it into something that is practical. It's more of like a turkey gun with a Picatinny rail. well, it is. There's no rib. It's got sights, you know, etc., etc. The SP is a very, very good gun. It has a lot going for it. There are some very fine details on it which I would choose over the standard M2, such as the 2-piece bolt latch and the it's got like a foam butt pad and cheek piece rather than the gel Comfortech gel stuff. The gel stuff tends to wear off the top layer over time.
Well, I've been using the M2 recently for testing and various things that we've been working on, and you recently changed out the thicker butt pad. Well, this was sort of funny. So I had the thicker butt pad on it. You had the 1/2-inch butt pad on that. Yeah, the gel, was it gel or no?
Yes, you had the Comfortech gel,
which Connor's really wanted.
Well, no, I didn't. I specifically wanted the M2 SP one, which is foam.
Okay.
And I ordered it in 1 inch to match my Supernova, so I could replace it on my Supernova.
But you've been eyeing up that butt pad. I've seen you swap it a few times, and I've had to swap it back.
Yeah.
So
it was still better than my original Supernova pad.
Keep your eyes out open while you're around him, especially around your butts. But yeah, so
butt bandit.
Unfortunately, Arius, GIF it now. I want the GIF everywhere. I'm a butt bandit. Oh, I just said it. Fuck's sake. Anyway, the heat is getting to us real time. Please, we do apologise. It's not the heat.
We're like this every time.
We are, but it's accentuated. So, So anyway, Connor's got this pad, what he thought was the SP pad. Unfortunately, it was the wrong one. It was thinner.
So we ordered the correct one.
Yes,
we gave them the part number for the correct one.
Yeah.
and they sent us an SP pad, but they sent us the 1/4 inch instead of the inch, so it's much shorter than what I wanted.
But because I am vertically challenged,
Yes.
It fits me perfectly. I absolutely love it. So he's currently got the old one on there, which you're actually still not completely happy with.
I'm really not happy with it because it's not the right length.
Yeah.
It's thrown me off completely. So one of my strongest skills in all of the things is time to first shot. And
which gun fit is incredibly important.
So important.
Yeah.
And it's so out of kilter that I cannot get on target for my first shot. And if I'm not on my target for my first shot, I'm not on target
Then
for my second and my third either.
Yeah.
And it's a complete catastrophe.
We saw this. So Ben Ducker, who's part of Team Magload, came down the other day down to the range, and he did one stage. And from the first shot, you could see he wasn't comfortable. He had just mounted the gun incorrectly, and every single shot he took of the stage was off. Now, whilst it's the KL-12, it's an AK, and you sort of shoot it like a rifle, it's still a shotgun. And whilst he still has the red dot, there is still, gun fit there, and there is some natural shooting where you sort of point shoot rather than actually aim.
Yeah.
And it shows that even just bringing the gun up and mounting it incorrectly can throw you off for the whole stage. And we always say, especially with handgun, if you bring it up or you go for a mag change and you get a funny grip, don't try and just bludgeon that poor grip into submission. Take a second, loosen yourself up, get a new grip on it, and go again. It is going to save you misses, it's going to save you no shoots and a hell of a lot of time throughout the whole stage. But it's something that we've been talking about recently as well with that M2 about gun fit, so perhaps that's a video that we can do. Gun fit, even for practical, not just clay shooting or game shooting, is incredibly popular, but we do have someone that disagrees with that sometimes. Or have you changed your tune on that now?
I don't think he's listening. so Alex had picked up
I wasn't listening. What were you talking
Alex
about?
has picked up this new game on his phone.
Yeah.
And he's been playing it for the last few live streams.
So if we-
No, I haven't played in the last 2 live streams. I played in the original ones before coronavirus. I haven't played it in ages. No, I was reading an email then. Sorry, what were we talking about?
Does gun fit matter?
Yes.
Good answer. Moving swiftly
No,
on.
it depends. It depends what level you're shooting at and where you are. If you're talking about clays and game shooting, for instance, if you're a standard build and you're going by a standard Beretta, there's no point in getting it fitted to you off the bat because you've got to learn the skills first.
No.
Yes.
Gun fit matters.
If you're they're designed for the standard person.
Yes, because everyone's a standard person.
I just said if you're a standard build, if you're short or you're
Okay. Moving swiftly onwards,
Okay.
Alex, there is a carrier bag on my desk. Would you mind going and getting it, please?
no problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wait, is it going to blow up on me?
No, it's a carrier bag with
just don't open it.
with a Welsh flag on it.
Just don't open it. You will regret opening it, I'm sure. Manku, Manku Man even. Which LBP, now that you have tried the Shadow, can you not try before... What? Which LBP, now that you have tried the Shadow?
Which LBP, now that you've tried the Shadow? You cannot try before you buy, and he can't decide. So he can't try before he buys.
And that's why I have my translator for me. My minder, my adult supervision.
Hang on, you're supposed to be my adult supervision.
No, you're my adult supervision.
Hey, we're all fucked.
And Alex has left the room. Woo! Anyway. we seriously, there is something in the air this evening.
Heat.
I can still turn you all off.
Yeah. Here we go. So I'll get to your question in a minute, Manku. Oh no, you're going to get it out now?
I'm just going to put it on the table.
Okay. So we had a certain Welsh visitor today. Yeah, that's appetising.
I like pickled eggs.
They look like testicles. Why do you have a jar full of testicles?
Pickled testicles.
Does that make them softer?
Yeah. Technically makes it harder.
Ugh. Anyway.
I like pickled eggs.
Yeah. No.
So I'm sure Dan will chime in, but there is like also it's a spiced pickle. I believe there's chili and all sorts of other bits and pieces in there. This has been brewing for quite a while. I'm looking forward very, very much to cracking it open.
Just not around me, please. So anyway, back onto Manku.
Which LBP? Now that you've tried the Shadow.
Which Well, what's your budget?
No, for you. All right, your choice. Your choice of all the MVPs you've tried.
Now, if the Antrag Zenith, and this was one of the videos that was released, it was yesterday, if you guys haven't seen it. So there are a couple of CZ Shadow clones coming out. There's one from Shield, which we haven't had a chance yet to review. But there's also one from Cotswold Classic Arms, which is the Antrag Zenith 22S. I would have to say it has to be the Antrag Zenith.
So you would pick that over a PPQ?
Now bearing in mind the one I shot was a development model, and there were things that weren't 100% right with it, which I'm not going to talk about because it's unfair to review that gun.
Well,
because
part of the reason that gun came down was to test some new things, which obviously...
Exactly. So I did omit that from the video because I don't want there to be a reputation based on that gun from the prototype. That's just completely unfair. If those issues are fixed, which I have absolute faith in Otto that he will fix it. Otherwise, the gun will not be launched. It's as simple as that. He's not going to release shit out there.
Otto's known for building very high-end, very high-quality guns.
Exactly. So I'm sure those issues will be fixed. And I would say, as it stands, I would be leaning towards the Antrag Zenith. The shot-to-shot on it was significantly faster than the PPQ, and the PPQ is a gun that I have a lot of experience with, that I know very, very well and can shoot fairly quickly with straight off the bat, off the table. And this thing on the first string of shots, I mean, if you watch the video again, the first plate rack that I do on it are the first shots from that gun, and I take the first two shots and it's like, hang about, bah, 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 bah. And it was just so natural. However, I sort of like flip-flop between the two. Connors has said that he can make the trigger of the PPQ the same, if not better, than what is on the Antrag Zenith. If that is a possibility and if that can be done, then I might swing back to the PPQ, and so certainly I'm going to try that before actually going for the Antrag Zenith. This is the argument we have
quite a lot, because my opinion, which is of course fact, is that
clearly states,
which is the reason why the CZ is such a natural gun to shoot.
Yeah,
it's because of the grip angle.
For me, it was purely the trigger. It's actually the construction and the layout of the gun and the controls I don't find very natural, and I say that in the video. I always find it hard to take the safety off on them and work with the controls. The magazine release is quite nice on it, I have to say.
I mean, it is extended on that gun.
It is, yeah. But I found that very easy to use. Sometimes I do struggle, but it was the trigger. It was purely the trigger that set it apart from any other long barrel pistol. I would go as far to say that it is the best long barrel pistol trigger that I have shot.
Bearing in mind that the Zenith out from Otto is a race gun. There is not anything in there that you could upgrade for anything better. It is as good as it's going to get.
Well, it's completely compatible with all CZ aftermarket or OEM parts.
It is a CZ frame that is, well, it's not a CZ frame.
No,
but it's
compatible with.
You know.
And Otto actually said that there were a number of parts in there that were OEM parts that had been fettled with, that had been improved already. So, and I can believe that. It was just that the trigger, for me, just absolutely made the gun. It was quite heavy. Again, these are things that will be worked on. Otto is going to remove some material from the guns, lighten them up. So again, it's not really stuff that I think is fair to comment on right now. But as it stood in that configuration, it was quite, I do say in the videos, it's quite a chunky girl. It's a chunky frame. It's heavy.
It's a big gun.
It is.
It is a big gun, and it feels bigger in the hands than a Shadow 2 does.
That's what she said.
And I'm not too sure why, because it's the same frame.
Well, it's not, because Otto said it's somewhere in between a Shadow 1 and a Shadow 2.
Yeah, but a Shadow 1 is an even smaller frame.
Well, if it's a smaller frame, then...
But the gun feels big.
Bigger. Well, okay.
It feels big.
And again, so, I don't know. But then you bring price into it. If I was paying my own money for it, getting a PPQ for like 700 quid versus £1,800 for it. I mean, if it was my own money, I still probably would go for the PPQ.
Actually, I want to sort of raise this point.
Yeah.
When you release that video with the proposed price, loads of people go, "Oh, why is it so much for a CZ? Oh, this is so expensive." If you go and try and buy a Shadow 2, it's €2,500.
Yeah.
So the Zenith is cheaper by a really good margin than a Shadow 2.
But
So-
I think the way people look at it is that it's a 2.2 rimfire pistol for 1,800 quid. That's what people can't get their heads around. But that's
Yeah.
what we're limited to here in the UK.
So if you wanted a Shadow 2,
yeah,
you'd have to pay €2,500, and then if you wanted the cadet conversion to go on top of it, I don't know how much that is, but
Yeah.
I'm going to guess around €500. You know,
so it's going to be very, very expensive. So yes, I think so back to your question. I think the Amtrak Zenith is a better gun than the Walther PPQ in most of its elements. However, price is always a factor, and it's nearly a third of the price. And is it a third of the gun? I don't know. So you have to watch this space. I generally am tossed up into what gun that I would be using for long barrel pistols. My automatic choice is of course the Walther PPQ, but if I know I can get a competitive advantage from the Amtrak Zenith, then it's going to be very hard not to justify that for competition. So why not both? I'll shoot standard and open. There we go. Problem solved.
well, you know, I've always had a slot open for a 2.2 LBP, and I've never had an LBP that's really said to me, this
Yeah.
is the one that I want. Like, the PPQ is really, really good, but it's not quite there for me. It's still very high presentation on the sights because of the grip angle.
Yeah.
It's a small gun as well. Is the Zenith going to be the one that I fill the slot with? I'm not entirely sure. It depends if any of the other guns that are on the horizon come to light.
Of course, the only one that we're going to be waiting for in comparison is going to be the Shield S01.
Yeah.
I believe they've stated it is going to be slightly cheaper than the Amtrak Zenith. I think it's around the £1,700 mark.
If it's slightly cheaper than a Zenith,
Yeah.
the Zenith is going to win out every time. It would
Really?
I think so. I think
Okay.
it would need to be considerably cheaper.
Right.
I think it would need to be closer to the £1,000 mark to be competitive, because the Zenith is an out-and-out race gun.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like £150 less, what you're going to get something that is essentially a bog standard one that needs all the upgrades,
Yeah.
or are you
Or
going
a
to
race
get
one.
the race gun
Yeah.
that's ready to go, fits in the production box, or can be shipped as an open gun? You know.
Exactly. So it sort of makes an easy decision. But yeah, I know 1,800 quid for an LBP, but I genuinely think it's, I haven't shot the Shield S01 yet, but from all the LBPs I've shot, the Amtrak Zenith is by far the best. But Walther PPQ is still a great LBP. I can't deny that. So we'll see.
Next thing under that is Chris LVOA. I don't know what that means.
So that's the white Stormtrooper one. I think when we were talking about
Okay.
we were talking about the Landtac. I would like one of the white Chris Defiance because they do look absolutely awesome. Since the Chris sort of hit the UK shores, it's been the white one that I've been
that's
like.
the one that got people talking, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it technically is Maglo colours, black and white.
Black and white. It's our.
They're like
it's
the
our
away
stationary
team.
colours.
It's like the away team.
Yeah.
We've got another question from Knight M21.
Ooh, this is an interesting question.
Hey guys, recently been learning about shooting sports and gun ownership. Do you know if you'd be arrested or lose your FAC if you are forced to use your gun to defend yourself during a break-in?
There's a lot of good points in here.
Now, I have to warn all of you, and I'm sure many of you are aware, I have to be incredibly careful with this sort of conversation.
Why don't I answer the question then?
I don't know,
Because
sometimes you can surprise me.
Right, so the question is, will you be arrested or lose your FAC if you're forced to use it? The answer is yes on both counts. You will have your guns taken away pending investigation and everything else. You will be without your guns for an extremely long time and you may not get them back. The imperative words here that you've used, if you are forced to use your gun, you're going to have to prove that you had no other option other than to go to your safe, get your gun, get your ammo from the separate safe, load the magazine, and then engage someone who's in your house. Like, you're not going to be able to prove to the police that that was the correct course of action at the time.
Well, there have been examples. There was one a year or two ago.
The farmer with the shotgun.
There was a farmer and his wife. They heard a bump in the night. He grabbed the shotgun, went downstairs, and there was a guy stood in his kitchen. Now, at the time, I believe this is from the reports, this is what happened, but the guy wasn't holding any weaponry, the burglar. But the report said that he went to grab a knife from the knife drawer, so the farmer shot him. Now, his guns were confiscated. The farmer and his wife, I believe, were arrested and spent a night in the cells. They were released with no further action, and later down the line they were reinstated with their shotgun licenses, or FACs if they had an FAC. And basically what the police said, and I believe it actually became quite a famous quote, because it wasn't just what the police said but also the judge. So the police said that basically that was justifiable cause for somebody to use a gun in self-defense. They feared that they were going for a knife and therefore feared for their life, and then used reasonable force, or it's the wording of that has slightly changed. It's not reasonable force, but it's like justified force, because he feared for his life. And then furthermore, the judge then looked up and said something along the lines of, to any criminals that want to go and break into gun owners' houses, if you break into somebody's house that owns a gun, don't be surprised when you get shot. And that was from the judge proceeding over the case.
I just want to add to this, a judge saying something like that is opinion. It's not a legal precedent or anything like that.
Absolutely not.
It is a comment to a reporter, courtroom reporter or a news reporter.
But it stood out, well, it obviously stood out to me, but it stood out because I'm like, wow, what, compared to what has been told to me and what I've experienced in terms of talking about self-defence and guns here in the UK, that was a complete 180.
Yeah, but you do live in Hampshire, so.
But but yeah, it's.
I miss Sussex.
Yeah, I warned you. So yes, you basically have to fear for your life, and not only do you have to fear for your life, you then have to be able to prove that you feared for your life. So
I mean, who's got that level of head in a situation like that?
Exactly. So it's God.
Right, I'm going to chip in here because it comes down to more our self-defence laws rather than actually gun laws. So not only do you have to fear for your life, but you can fear for the life of those around you and others in your household, so your children, your wife, anything like that. And it's your feeling at the time, specifically written in our self-defence laws.
Okay.
So in your state of absolute panic because someone's in your house, it's the danger you felt at the time, not the danger a reasonable person would assume you had after knowing all the facts in the after account of it. And that makes a key point.
Yeah. This actually reminds me of something I've heard recently, and I don't remember whether I heard it from one of you two or someone else. But someone told me if you're in an incident of any sort, so like a road rage incident or anything like that, get your phone out and start writing down immediately what happened and how you felt at that time. Well, because I don't know who told it to, it might have been you or someone said it to me recently, but it can be used as evidence because it's timely and it's in the moment. It's in the moment.
Yeah.
Whereas if you write it down an hour after the incident, it's not.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, and your view exactly. Your mindset will change afterwards once you've assessed it and you realise the threat maybe wasn't as serious as you thought it was.
Yeah.
Or in fact could have been more serious than it was. But you should never be afraid in the moment of doing what you think is necessary to protect yourself and your family.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with the farmer and the shotgun is interesting because the shotgun ammunition doesn't need to be locked up. So the justification is I unlocked my safe and grabbed a shotgun and the ammo was sitting next to it.
Yeah.
Trying to say that you ran upstairs, loaded the mag for your LBP with the ammo from the other safe, like Connor says, then managed to it's not practical.
Yeah. He did specifically say FAC, not STC.
Yeah.
So FAC is implying
Section 1 shotgun.
But it's potentially, but it's implying something
A
that's
rifle.
got ammunition in a lock safe.
This is what has always frustrated me, and this is by no means a statement, but it's a question of what is the limit. I mean, you're asking us. We can sort of give a guidance in terms of
it's not guidance. It's
well,
opinion.
it's not guidance. We can give an opinion on our interpretation of the law, but no one can give a definitive answer. And actually, for me,
the only people who can ever give a definitive answer are that 12 people sitting in the courtroom.
And for me, that's where the frustration comes, is that if the police were to look up and said, absolutely no, you cannot use a gun in any way, shape or form for defence, then fair enough.
Well, that's a definitive answer, then we know.
Then we know. But in this sort of,
that is the law.
Well, no.
You
can use a gun, you can't own a gun.
You can use any object readily to hand.
Which can be a gun.
That's the law that's written.
Yeah, so it can be a gun.
Yeah.
So you are allowed, and there is precedent for it, you are allowed to use guns for self-defence in the UK under the right circumstances. you just can't own a gun for self-defense in the UK.
And the right circumstances, they make it very difficult for those right circumstances to ever be present.
So people end up confused, and then what ends up happening is a much younger Callum goes on and tries to explain this all and ends up in a lot of trouble. Pretty much.
But at least it removed the option of you being able to shoot someone, because you
Maybe that was the whole point.
But yeah, so it is frustrating, it is annoying, but I hope that gives you some clarity on it. But yeah, I would just like to see clarification on what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
So a couple of mentions. Big thank you to Richard Weston again, Mr. E30, and also Paolo again for your donations. And you've all asked.
Did he donate because you finally managed to say his name right?
Maybe if I see your name every time right, do I get another £5? But anyway, you've all asked questions, so we're going to prioritise those questions first, starting with Richard. So Richard has asked, please explain race or not to race. What is the difference when you talk about a race gun?
Right, so any gun you buy bog standard is going to have features on it which make it unsuitable or less than ideal for competition. Number one thing is almost always a trigger. Triggers usually in the States here they call them like lawyer triggers or something like that. They'll be incredibly heavy with a very long first stage so that you can't accidentally catch it, or it won't go off. It definitely won't go off no matter how high up it's dropped from. Like basically they want to be able to drop it off a building, have the gun shatter in 1,000 pieces, but for that trigger still to be locked. That sort of thing is very impractical because as you're pulling the trigger, you have to pull it so hard you pull it off target. That's like a number one thing. There are going to be ergonomic changes to a gun. Sights are usually one of the first things you need to sort out. On a pistol, you're going to want to swap. If it doesn't come with a fibre optic front sight, at the very least a fibre optic front sight. Some people will also have fibre optic rears or a dot or whatever you want to do from there.
It's things like mag wells, enlarged buttons.
Well, I would say you don't need that to race, but I would consider those to be components of a raced gun.
Yeah.
But when I say race versus a non-raced gun, like a stock gun, almost universally stock guns are not ready for competition. They need something done to them, and it's generally going to be something to do with your main points of contact. It's going to be your trigger, your sight picture, stock, for instance, because gun fit does matter even on pistols.
Like stuff like grip tape. Putting grip tape on a gun is racing it up. Like think of a car. Like you think about the reason it's raced is that you think of a race car. You put a normal car next to a race car. A race car is going to have a big spoiler, a front and rear diffuser. It's going to go faster stripes on it, stickers.
There are going to be a lot of things that are going to be superfluous to performance, such as the stock you choose or the grip you choose. There will be some performance gains, but there will be other parts of the gun which are much more important to upgrade. But when I say a fully raced gun, it means all the non-superfluous and superfluous parts are all done, all ready to go. So we did that Magload Smith a while ago, which was basically a ready-to-go gun, which was really quite nice. I think it was about a month ago.
It was John who. It's the video that I put out on the channel of me mag loading a 1522. Now, whilst I refer to it as mag loading, it could also be racing a 1522.
So I would say it sort of still falls short of a full race, because one of the things that a 1522 definitely needs are trigger and sights. And that wasn't done in that video, because what you're doing is you're putting all the bolt-on parts.
Yes. All the things. What I say with the trigger, perhaps that's a gun shop thing as well, but a sight not necessarily.
Yeah.
But Mr. E30, I'm more of a Honda guy myself. But can you show us your Tikka T3X A1 and what mods you would recommend and available? Now, I assume you're talking about the one behind us.
No, he was talking earlier on the stream about what mods you could get for Tikkas. Someone went and replied to him. Mr. E30, I'm with you. I don't like Hondas. I'm a bit man.
You're an Audi man.
Yeah, you've got an Audi.
Yeah, I like Beamers too.
And a Volkswagen.
He's a vag man.
Well, it's German.
He is a vag man.
He's a vag man.
He is a vag man. you know.
I'll agree to that.
You know, a Lamborghini is a vag car, though, right?
Yeah, I know.
He wants to know what mods we can get for T3s and all that kind of thing. The best thing you can do is get in. Yeah, I mean, like modifications, not moderators. Yeah. Best thing to do is get in contact, because there are so many different things you can do to them.
It's a bit like a Remy 700, I suppose.
Yeah.
You could just
exactly
throw it. You want to drop it in AI stock?
Yeah,
Go
exactly.
for
We
it.
can put it in chassis. We can change bolt handles. We can carbon fibre barrel.
You want to put a magazine on it. You want to.
Yeah, like literally pretty much anything. So get in contact with us, and we'll hook you up with everything you need.
So yeah, if you are interested in picking up some bits for it, it's rfd@blue.uk.com, and Alex is
email address is on the Blue Fieldsports website.
Yeah, on the Blue Fieldsports Blue blah, 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 you know what I mean. Blue Fieldsports website. It's getting late. So yeah, and Paolo's question wasn't really a question. He was just saying thanks for the information. Keep up the amazing work, and God bless. Very much appreciative of that. Thank you very much for joining us and joining in. So
if you want to get back to the questions from where we left off, we've got John Fuller. Which setup would you argue is best for a long range to mid-short range mini rifle circuit? A 5x magnifier in front of a holographic sight, or a 1:6 scope with an offset optic? Now, I don't think either of us can give you a qualified answer to this question. We are around very high level shooters, and they all say different things. So
it's personal preference.
There is going to be a performance aspect to it, but I don't think either of us understand enough to be able to give you the answer. Maybe next time we have one of those special guests on the stream, we can ask them that question.
We can sort of talk about it in the sense of
our own personal experiences.
Well, our own personal experiences, but two of the best mini rifle shooters in the country, Ben Ducker and Josh Hicks. Now, Ben Ducker is currently running a setup which is it's actually the Vortex Viper PST Gen 1 1-4. And that's his main optic, and that's what I used to use for mini rifle and got on really, really well with it. And he's got a 45-degree Vortex, is it Venom? Razor on the side. Now that is your most generic, probably your most popular setup, and certainly if you go in, it's
a 1:6, 1:8, 1:10 scope, and a 45-degree red dot.
And when we went out to the Rifle World shoot, whilst I know it's not mini rifle and obviously much longer distances, but that was also one of, if not the most popular setups. Now, because mini rifle is at slightly shorter distances, you're only going up to 100 yards, you don't really need anything past 6x magnification. I know there is the Gen 3 scope coming out with ×10. I really think personally that's overkill for 2.2.
The thing is it's the first focal plane it's the first focal plane reticle that's the more of the key feature than the 1:10 in that scope.
But a 1-4 or 1-6 will see you fine in mini rifle.
On the flip side, we have Josh Hicks, who used to compete with a magnifier and a red dot, and he did exceptionally well as well. He has recently switched to a scope, and I believe he will be having an offset red dot as well. I would like to get him on stream one day and talk him through because he'll be the best person to answer this question, really, because having used both setups. Yeah,
and he is constantly switching, and I think that sort of says a lot as well. And I'm actually going through this decision myself, and we've been talking about it the past few weeks, which is I really want to get for the competition season, whenever it sort of restarts, I want to have my 1522 set up for competition, and I'm still not 100% on the setup. I'm pretty sure the Razor 1-6 is going to be on top, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for a 45-degree red dot, but I'm also interested in trying out the red dot and the magnifier, and the fact as well that Josh has switched around so many times. Like, there was a period where every single week he seemed to have a different optic set up, and I really think that's because no setup is perfect. You're going to have pros and cons, and even between different stages in a match and then different matches, you're going to find different setups suit that match or stage better.
We had that crazy sort of periscope type thing on this gun as well. That was insane. I loved it. I would love to try running it in a competition, but what I did find very interesting is Josh tends to go to these very uncluttered reticles. Even his Carly's IPSC reticle scope, it's just 3 dots with the centre one illuminated red, and there's no real rhyme or reason that I understand. I need to find out more about this as to why those dots are spaced the way they are. But I believe I asked Josh, have you gone for this because it's just a very clean reticle? He said, yeah, it's like as close to a red dot as you can get. So
So you see, really the best advice that we can give is to go and try out some different optics, some different setups. Again, I started with an EOTech, I then went over to the 1-4, I've then gone over to the 1-6 Razor. I do sort of miss the lightness of a red dot because the Razor is an absolute lump on the 15-22. So there's just pros and cons, and really you've got to find the best setup that works for you. And even as we've just discussed, Josh Hicks, top of the mini rifle game, he's constantly switching out. He's trying to always find the best possible setup, and I still don't think he's fully made up his mind. Like, because he's got this Carlo scope.
I don't know. There's no way of knowing because he's only just switched to it.
Well, yes.
So he's only shot it once.
He might do a couple of competitions with it and go, actually, I'm going to go back to this, or I'm going to try this. So yeah, go and try up as many as you can. But John Fuller was actually the customer with the 15-22. But yeah, keep your questions and comments and conversations flowing, guys.
What have we called the Magload Mobile? It's called the Magbus. Keep up.
Or what about the Fruit Tube?
It's the Magbus.
He's not.
Where's the off button?
No, I didn't say it. It wasn't me. One day, guys, we will tell you about the Fruit Tube.
Did our last live chat have closed captions available?
No,
Why?
You can't. I'm not on my mic. Not the last one. The one before that.
Right.
Callum was doing it by himself. You can't close caption when you use the low latency, which we're using now.
Right. Okay. Cool. Maglathe. It's all right. Do you have plans to go shooting in America this summer? No, but we do this autumn.
Well, there's a bit of confusion. So Dan was a little bit doom and gloom. So Daniel Smerald, hi Daniel, who was
very sad today.
Who was here dropping off his lovely pickled eggs. So you guys will probably be aware that we're heading out to, we're planning to head out to Kentucky in October. But there was something released a couple of days ago basically saying that visas are not going to be accepted up until December this year. Some people are interpreting it in different ways. I'm still not 100% sure. If it's going ahead, we're going. No doubt about that. And I think we've shared with you as well that we're also going to be going out a week earlier, and we're going to be doing a 3,500 mile round trip down from Chicago through all the states down to from Chicago down to Texas, across the South. I actually got somebody from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, got in contact recently offering for us to go and shoot some machine guns in Birmingham. So Birmingham, not that Birmingham.
If we can convince them to make it an evening and we have machine guns and barbecue, I'd be very happy with that.
In the deep South, we're very much looking forward to the barbecue. But yeah, we're going to go through Alabama, up to North Carolina, across to Tennessee, and then back down to Kentucky for the full trip. So it's going to be an epic road trip. It's going to be an epic couple of weeks with, I would imagine, some really epic videos of what we get up to. And we're going to try and also stop off at Knob Creek. Yep. There isn't going to be the machine gun night shoot, unfortunately.
No, but Callum likes knobs, so...
Yeah, but you like butts.
I'm a butt bandit.
We're planning on it. It's all sort of arranged. It's just COVID-19 dependent, really.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up a lot of plans. I don't really know what's going to happen with CISO at the moment, because if the countries around Hungary are all getting shut down one by one, I don't know what's happening with that. Yeah,
it's really up in the air. I mean, we do get... I mean, I'm flattered that people think that we are the fountain of knowledge when it comes to what's going on. We're really not. We're in the dark, as in the dark as you guys.
Even less so because we don't follow public media.
No.
Because I hate newspapers. I hate news channels. It's all...
So are you going on about an MSM rant?
What? MSM?
Mainstream media.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah,
I'll do one of those. What he just said. Yeah. Don't like it.
In terms of the matches, in terms of the competitions, in terms of the shooting season starting back up, we have to play it by ear. It is changing week by week. We're optimistic. Hopefully everything goes along. And the game shoot that I think made a video last week, that's very much planning to go ahead. So in terms of game shooting in the season, I know there are a few estates. I don't know if Alex knows of any that have said that they're not doing it this year.
I have heard of some.
A high proportion have just said they're not going to shoot, but there are other reasons around that.
Right.
Probably financially for them and things like that. I mean, we're going ahead.
Okay.
Don't forget we've got something in the news that we haven't talked about is Packham's new attack.
Packham's new attack is just a good one, but staying on point for the game
Yeah.
shoots, if rioters can go and riot or protest in London, then I'll stage a protest on my estate. It'll just be with guns shooting at pheasants. Because it's the same, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. They can't, if they can't limit us for doing that. Basque are working very heavily towards it, so the NGO and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So people are trying to get definitive answers, yes or no.
Yes, something to consider though is as a lot of public liability insurers are specifically not insuring you under certain COVID rules, as it were. For instance, Bluefin, which provide a lot of insurance for shooting events like competitions, they are introducing a COVID exception to some shooting spots or something like that. We're talking about this with KFC, where they will let shooting competitions go ahead as long as you've let them know where and when and all that kind of stuff, and you tell them. I think what it is you have to do a risk assessment. You have to show them how social distancing measures are being enforced and that sort of thing. So
Whips.
hygiene stations at the stages, ROs with masks, and of course with whips, that sort of thing.
That's it. Everyone should just be issued a 2-meter whip, and it's like, officer, he got within 2 meters. I had to whip him. You can't whip someone if you're 2 meters away. You should start the Maglo whip.
Well, you are used to being whipped, so
What I get up to on a Friday night is usually with you. So, so Mochaccino was asking about hearing protection and what brand that I recommend. I of course
it was custom fit guards.
Yes, I of course recommend Custom Fit Guards. 100%. I've had 3 or 4 of their sets of hearing protection, and my hearing is still good, just about. But I know people do fret about like indoor ranges and large calibers. And I will say that as great as Custom Fit Guards are, or any custom in-ear hearing protection, there are situations, and I have found out the hard way, where you need some over-ears on as well. Especially like out in the rifle weld shoot,
Oh yeah,
where we are getting close as safely possible to the shooters, and they've got stonking great muzzle brakes on, and you're like that
clears
with
the
a camera.
sinuses. I'll give you that.
Oh, it bloody well does. Or like the 50 cal indoors at the tunnel down in Dorset, that you definitely need to double plug. And I would say any sort of full bore shooting, you should be double plugging, or an indoor range. I mean, when we were shooting the Glocks over in the Netherlands, and I was using my Custom Fit Guards, that it was just about tolerable. I think I could have done with some over ears as well, but when we broke out the FAL, yeah, that I definitely needed some over ears on. So they're not and I've made a video about over ears versus in ears. Again, no solution is absolutely perfect. There are going to be scenarios where the in-ears suit you better, and scenarios where the over-ears...
You're never going to get better protection than being double plugged.
Yeah.
But over-ears tend to cause issues with shotgun mount and rifle mount, that sort of thing. In-ears can fall out, especially moulded ones. One of the reasons I prefer foamies over everything else is... Complete block.
Yeah.
Which can make things very, very difficult when it comes to ROing, which is why I wear over-ears when
That's why I end up shouting at Codders quite a lot.
Yeah, and also if you've ever heard me talking in a video where I sound very nasally, it's because I've still got my plugs in and I've forgotten to take them out. Yeah, I don't know why I just sound that way when I've got the plugs in.
Well, it's feedback, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can hear yourself.
So we've got a question from Callum, great name, spelled correctly. How would I go about getting into shooting? Join a club! There's no other answer, and I say it every single time, go and join a club.
Literally, Google it. There will be a 2-2 range near you.
If you live in Hampshire, Google Hampshire Shooting Club. Or Hampshire Rifle Club, Hampshire Shotgun Club.
They're not these clandestine, hidden things.
Well, some are.
Some are. Most of them are out there to get new members, so they will.
And those are the ones that we should be supporting 100%. But you can go on the NRA website, NRA UK website, the NSRA, UK PSA, the CPSA.
The one thing I would say is don't be put off by a terrible website. Okay. Loads of them have like these awful websites that were made when most people made a website on Homestead. You probably don't even know what that is. You'll know what Homestead is. But Yeah, they will. They have a lot of gun clubs are run by volunteers,
Yeah.
So they won't be putting a lot of time in stuff like making a pretty website.
But also responding to emails, that does seem to be one of the number one questions or messages that I get. I found a local club, I keep messaging them, they're not getting back to me. Because it is volunteers, it's not a receptionist sat there waiting for your email. It will be somebody that will have a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job, although at the moment...
And they'll probably check their emails only like maybe an hour before their weekly club shoot.
Yeah.
And some clubs only shoot like twice a month as well, so especially when they have to use someone else's land or range.
But that's why I also recommend Kentucky Firearms Club. I was aware of a few membership issues, let's just say.
It's all fixed now.
But it's all fixed. They've got a brand new system, and the reason I advertise and promote Kentucky Firearms Club so much is because they are all about new shooters. They're about the older ones as well.
It's a new club as well, so it's very...
I don't know, it's like coming up to 4 years now.
But they're not, they're not stuck in the old ways. Of
No.
Quite a lot of the clubs you're going to encounter are going to be clay clubs, which have probably got a long history to that particular club.
Yeah.
Or it'll be a 2-2 club where their main discipline is going to be shooting 2-2 pro rifle.
One way to tell if a club is old school and old or not is if it's called a rifle and pistol club. Any club that's called a rifle and pistol club has history and will definitely have an old FUD.
Oh really? Well, even like Harlow Town Rifle and Pistol Club?
Maybe.
Yeah, or
so yeah, there's
Froome District Rifle and Pistol Club.
Yeah, I would ignore everything.
No,
it's wrong.
No, it's not.
It's wrong.
Most of the time, there are clubs that have FUDs in it. They are called rifle and pistol club. Into a nod of when we could have pistols.
Completely and utterly wrong.
Nope.
A lot of old clubs
clearly states
will be called rifle and pistol clubs.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they're full of FUDs, because a lot of the rifle and pistol clubs,
in my experience,
will have some practical background to them.
Yes. In the experience that I have had,
you've been in 2 clubs.
But I've been to many. But I've been to many different clubs and made many different videos in many different locations and ranges.
Moving swiftly onwards before I punch him in the face.
In my experience, the ones with rifle and pistol in the title have been more fuddy than the ones not.
You are, just like everyone else, entitled to your opinion, even if it is wrong.
And that's his opinion.
Fact! It clearly states.
You cannot argue with fact. Anyway, Richard Weston, can I have a follow-up question on the M2 for practical? Best practice on barrel length, 24 to 26 to 28 inch, or is it more about gun fit and balance? It's always about gun fit.
It's always about gun fit. Gun fit matters so much. Get the shortest barrel you can, because it doesn't affect your pattern at the distances we're talking about. Pardon me, that's a lot of Pepsi. And you're just adding weight out to the front of the gun where you really don't need it. Oh, pardon me, there's a lot of Pepsi we've been drinking today. The M2 SP does only come in a 26-inch barrel length. Don't let that put you off. However, if you choose to go for a field, do go for a 24-inch version. That's kind of it, really.
I mean, I would say for practical, you go for the shortest you can.
Yeah, there's no benefit to having a long barrel in practical. It's just more stuff to get caught in stage furniture.
Well,
and it's more weight out front.
Again, we've been talking about this recently with the magazine tubes. So, even with a standard gun, you can still have any capacity of tube, and there are some scenarios where having a longer tube and higher capacity is going to help you. You'll be able to load at the start and go, full pelt without any other loads. But actually having that extra, 12 inches or 6 inches at the end of your barrel, when you're trying to get around obstacles and barriers and all that and windows, then you're going to get caught up. It's going to slow you down. So it's a trade-off. There'll be some scenarios where a longer tube and more capacity will pay off. There's going to be scenarios where a shorter gun is going to pay off
but
as well.
But it's a question of barrel length.
Short, yeah.
As short as you can.
But there's no point going for a really short barrel length if you're going to put a whacking great big tube.
No, there is. That's what I'm saying. Weight.
Yeah.
That is steel at the end of the gun. And it's actually the thickest part of the barrel is the muzzle end, because they all flare out there to accept the choke. So.
And
again, once again, your opinion is completely wrong.
Mr. E3
E30.
E30. I got your name wrong. I was just about to say I got it right. I'm going
He
home.
gave you a tip for giving it right.
Yeah, I
Get it
know.
right,
I'll
there
refund
go.
you that tip because I got your name wrong. But yeah, Mr. E30. Yeah, you're very welcome. We are here at all of your pleasure to answer questions or anything that you want to talk about. Now, see, my mum has joined. Hi, mum, #1 fan. She doesn't tip.
No, she doesn't.
She hasn't made it into the VIP English Shooting Members Club. So, Mochaccino.
This would now be a good time to start charging him rent, I think.
I was going to say, I'm sure you should argue it cost her a fortune already.
No. Mochaccino, could you please explain what you mean by acquisition time? Do you mean by follow-up shot?
Acquisition is time on to target from your ready position. That's it.
I mean, we do, Mochaccino, we do like answering these really basic questions to mid-pack shooters, so if you do have any more, please keep them coming.
Yeah.
We'll be happy to help you out, and maybe you can reach that top step one day.
No, I mean that's a bit of a far target. That's at least getting beyond 50%.
Yeah, that would be a start, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Also, I love how he keeps talking about the pistols and stuff, and he's gotten into this conversation with Alberto, who's an action air shooter. I just want to point out Arius is an action air shooter. He's been out to shoot handguns 2 or 3 times.
He got very scared.
He got very, very scared.
The bang scared him.
He blinks a lot.
And the recoil, his little wrist couldn't take it.
I have to say, your recoil control was pretty good, but
He was just holding on for dear life.
it's making so much noise.
We do generally like action air.
We're actually real love for action air
Yeah.
shooting. It's super addictive.
But we've actually got Action Air's #1 fan in the chat at the
Yeah.
moment, Mr. David Kiddle. I
Hey.
mean, if you want to talk about
shooting action air
yeah,
or shooting in jeans,
talk to David Kiddle.
he's your man.
Yeah, Kiddle will absolutely recommend Action Air over every discipline out there. He believes it is the best. He believes there are no other disciplines than Action Air.
He's just reported us. By the way.
And he says that shooting
One
in
strike.
jeans, shooting in jeans is the absolute pinnacle of performance.
2 strikes. Stop talking because you're gonna get the stream cancelled. So who was asking about the?
So,
So Aaron's asking about getting a Howler with an MDT chassis, bedding the action stock easily done at home. I'm not really familiar with that chassis. I believe is the MDT a metal a polymer chassis?
I'm going to go with yes, and I'm going to go with it's
Okay,
got,
let me
it's got its
give you a
bedding.
more generic answer. Polymer chassis generally don't need to be bedded. They will have bedding pillars in them. When you bolt a gun to a bedding pillar, it no longer needs to be have a full bed job done on it. If you were to pillar bed at home, then that is a job easily done because all you need to do is counterbore the original stock hole where it goes in, and then you bed just a pillar in there, which is going to come in as part of a pillar bedding kit.
Go and have a look at the Form rifle stock video on Gunroom TV.
So it's not a great. It's not a great example because they're not bedded.
And they're not?
They're not bedded
Oh, okay.
stocks.
But it shows the pillar insertion.
Yeah, they have a pillar in there, but it's not
Yeah.
the same as a pillar bedding. That's just
Okay.
a pillar pressed into the laminate.
Okay.
So yeah, pillar bedding is very easy to do at home because you only need a small amount of bedding compound, and you don't need to mess around with release agents and any of that thing. Because masking and release agents are probably the hardest part of a bedding job. If you're going to do a full bedding job, then yes, you can do it at home. I have done them at home before. I haven't actually done any bedding jobs here at the gunroom. But a full bed job is a huge thing. You won't get it right on the first try. There will be a lot of filing and a lot of fitting and
A lot of swearing,
a
as
lot
they're
of
always
swearing.
with.
Genuinely, with most modern laminate stocks and composite stocks, polymer stocks, pillar bedding is really the best way to go. The only time we'll do a full bed now is on a natural wood stock of some description, and even then, I might choose to pillar bed it if the wood can take it.
Just changing the topic completely, just a little note from Dan Hawes that we probably need to consider on our trip. Of all the distilleries in Kentucky, he recommends the Buffalo Trace. As the tour they do, it is free, including 5 taters.
Done.
Yeah, that will be the one we were going.
Can we have a barbecue afterwards?
What, with the bourbon?
I just want barbecues.
We're going to be having so much barbecued meat, it's going to be unhealthy.
That's the plan.
I know. I need to lose a lot of weight before I go out there because I'm definitely putting a lot on.
No, just go out there. Gain as much as possible because then it's easier to lose it.
There's logic there somewhere. Mr. E30, thank you again for the donation. A question again, have you ever sent your mods / accessories for a Tikka T3XA1 to Northern Ireland, or would my local gun dealer be able to help? So can you ship to Northern Ireland?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah. So anything you want, Blue Fieldsports.
And actually, a lot of the modifications and things like that aren't licensed parts, so I'll ship them all over the world.
The only thing is with the magazines, if you do go for that magazine conversion.
Yeah, magazines will be limited in Northern Ireland, but
they're not limited. You just have to have a slot for each one. I believe. I think that's the case.
Yeah, but the RFD wouldn't. So I would RFD them and then.
And then the RFDs would sort out.
So David Kiddle has given a response to to our beratement. Airsoft is fine if you're under 12 and never had a girlfriend, or if you're an adult and still suck a dummy or wear nappies. That's
why Kiddle shoots so much airsoft himself, really. In jeans.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. BB's fired.
BB. This could get out of hand. Anyway, carry on.
Going back, a DAT. I know we're scrolling back up now, but DATV is asking what is Action Air. It is IPSC handgun, generally speaking, with airsoft guns essentially, but they are not like normal airsoft guns. They are going to be built specifically for the purpose. Generally can cost quite a lot of money as well. £500-600 for a good gun is not.
Yeah, but again, you use the.
I use my Armourer Works, but do bear in mind that my Armourer Works broke before its very first competition, and I ended up having to do some funky stuff to get the hop unit working again.
I mean, if you want a out of the box, ready to go, top level gun, you can be talking £1,500. And I think that's probably David's biggest issue with airsoft is that. With a firearm, you can understand why they cost money, because there is an explosion going on by your face and a very accurate bullet is being dispelled by the end and can go a very, very long way. So there's the mechanics, there's the pressure bearing, nature of all of the components and going on, and then you sort of look at an airsoft and you think, well, it's low pressure, there's no bang, but they are incredibly intricate. Don't ever get curious to take one apart if you don't know what you're doing, because if you thought there was springs
funny.
in a normal gun, they just explode in confetti of springs.
It's funny actually, because where I started off working guns is actually in air guns, and air guns are incredibly complex. And when I started working on live fire guns, I was actually relieved because they're a lot simpler. And people have mocked me when they see a photo of me looking on the floor for a spring and all that kind of stuff. That's just part and parcel. I'm working on several guns a day. Every now and again you drop something. It's not like Mr. Bloomfield who'll drop something every time he works on a gun.
Moving on.
I'm only saying that because he made the comment originally. But air guns are much, much more complicated than live fire guns. And then airsoft guns are a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It's not just how many parts or the intricacy of them, it's how delicate they are. You can break something just by dismantling it in the incorrect manner.
And that's why it ends up costing so much money to get a raced one. Again, we're using that term quite a lot this evening, but a raced action air gun, because there are so many things you need to tune and adjust and upgrade and tinker with. It just takes more time. When something takes more time and more manual labour, it's going to cost more money. So whilst it still takes a reasonable time, I mean, you can do a full shotgun racing in a day, just about.
I generally spread it over a couple of days because
Yeah.
it's a lot of focus in one time.
But recently
We
you
have a lot
had
of stuff to do.
you had an air rifle in here, and that was a good 2-3 days worth of work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because there were so many parts, and
It's
you know,
not so much that. So the air rifle he's talking about is a Steyr LG100. I actually have like an old reputation for working on those guns, and there's quite a lot of things that I do to those guns that takes some time, which you wouldn't normally have to do as part of the service. Yeah, regulator complete rebuilds and things like that. You just don't normally do it.
Dan Hawes on recommend. Well, he's I say a recommendation for Kentucky. He said, if you want proper Southern barbecue, come visit me in Sussex. I've got you covered. Pulled pork and beef biscuit. Well, we will be wrapping up the stream in about 10 minutes, Dan. So, do you reckon you could have something ready for us? I mean, we could probably make
We'll meet you there.
Yeah, a quick hop over to Sussex. I mean, we only live in Fareham, so it's not too far away. But we will absolutely.
But it's not too far away in the Civic.
No. No, it's still the same distance. It's just maybe less time because it gets up to the speed limit so much quicker.
Wayne Hemmings is just saying you've been trying for ages to get hold of KFC. But you can't find anything about joining online. We're talking about KFC, the shooting club, not the restaurant. That took you a while.
No, I just because it was the image in my head playing out. Like ring. It's like, yeah, I want to join the shooting club. You want a bucket? What are you talking about a bargain bucket for? I want to join a shooting club. No, we've got the bargain bucket. We've got the mighty bucket. We've got the Zinger Tower.
I haven't actually been on the KFC website for quite a while.
Wait, are we still talking chicken?
I don't know, but that's what's coming up as I'm typing.
Yeah, that's just your search history. When's KFC back open? Is lockdown affecting KFC?
Established 2015, Three Gun Nation Club.
Yeah, so it's now must be 6 years old now.
Your maths is awful.
Well, it depends on
it's
when.
5 years old. As far as I can tell from the website as it currently stands, go on the website, click contact us, fill in the form. Someone will get back to you. I know that inbox is monitored on the regular.
So a bit of news, a couple of bits of news. If any of you are into 3 guns and you happen to follow the 3 gun meme group on Facebook, which I would highly recommend going and joining. I have no affiliation to them, but
it's hilarious and I'm on there.
Oh, it is brutal. It is absolutely
They
brutal.
were very nice to me.
They were, because it was impressive loader.
My loaders are impressive.
But they can be absolutely savage on there. And recently, I don't know if you guys have seen, well, the JM940 has been replaced. So there was this, basically, Mossberg sent off this JM940 Pro, whatever, you know, the gun I'm talking about, and they used it as a stage gun at the Blue Line match, which is quite a major 3-gun match, and it ended up breaking in half because people had to mortar it so often because the Jam Pro
jammed all the time.
Jammed, right?
Yeah.
So that absolutely blew up, and people are ripping into the 940, which is pretty standard right now. Well, it has been for a number of years. Until a breeder did the exact same thing.
So I just want to remark here that the breeder didn't break because it had to be slammed on the ground so many times because of all the jams.
Yeah.
It's obviously been broken, being thrown into a dump bin.
Yeah.
It's broken in a highly unusual place, and judging by what I can see in the picture, it's the sort of thing that could have happened to any gun.
Yeah.
However,
because it wasn't a Benelli and because it wasn't a Beretta, it is getting absolutely torn to shreds at the moment. So there are some Class A memes on that about the breeder recently, so just thought that's a bit of a funny one for you guys to go and check out and go and see. And with more serious news, the offensive weapons bill. Now, we don't have actually a lot of news on this yet, but we can confirm that the compensation scheme will be released very shortly. So we've all been waiting for it. It's been well over a year now since the guns technically became illegal, and everyone's been sort of holding their breath on if they're going to give compensation and what the compensation scheme is going to be. So we know 100% there is going to be a compensation scheme. In terms of when they were going to release the full details on what money you're going to get for your gun, that is still undecided. However, there was can we talk about the plumbing?
no.
Yes, you can, because that's in the Act, which is already out.
Okay, so there is another change that we picked up on the offensive weapons bill that is going to ban pipes. And it sounds silly, like we all joke that at some point they're going to license forks or spoons here in the UK.
No, pipes haven't even been licensed though.
What, they've been banned?
They've been banned.
So any pipe that you can blow through and emit a projectile via breath is now Section 5.
No, just
No,
banned,
it's
not
not
even
Section
Section
5.
5.
Well, no, it'd be any other weapon.
It's not any other
No,
weapon.
it's not. It's banned.
Oh, it's banned.
It's illegal.
Okay.
It's not a firearm, so it doesn't come under the Firearms Act.
Yeah.
They're an offensive weapon.
Yeah, but a nightstick is Section 5.
No.
No, it is.
Yeah, no.
Because Florence has one.
It can. Yeah, no.
It's-
That
it's
is Section
Section
5.
5.
But what we're talking about here, there's not been
Any other
section-
weapon? Does any other weapon is not a firearm?
Yeah, but this has been banned out.
You're right.
No.
You're right. Because swords, cane swords.
Yeah.
Section.
Yeah, so it goes to
have
any
these
other
been
weapon.
banned out,
Well, no,
right? Or are
it
they Section 5?
The authority you would need to possess a pipe is going to be Section 5.
Regardless, Section
Yes.
5 or
Or
banned.
whatever. They
Pipe.
are.
They're an
have banned
offensive
pipes.
weapon.
So
Quite literally, you could go down to Wickes,
yeah.
pick up a 1/4-inch bit of PVC plumbing pipe. It's illegal
No, whatever. It is only illegal
if you breathe through it.
if you breathe through it and
A solid projectile comes out the other end.
yeah.
I can get a tissue, soak it in some water, put it in the PVC pipe, and that makes it illegal if I blow it out the other end.
And you might think that we're having a laugh, you might think
Yeah.
that we're joking, being over the top. That is exactly what it says. As soon as you use a pipe to fire a projectile under the power of breath, it is illegal. It is an offensive weapon, and they are banned.
You know those McDonald's straws you lot are all so fond of? Illegal.
Illegal.
And also any straw.
But,
But there's some good news.
there is some very good news which we're going to have a lot of fun with. So I think the plan. Should we talk about the plan?
Yeah, maybe not our plan. It might be something that I might do, but I don't really want to
Let's
go in there
move
as
on
my
because
plan.
we've only got a couple of
Well,
minutes.
basically, there is going to be. So, what we're actually talking about is blow darts and blowpipes. But the way that they've written the rules and the law actually just covers all pipes. But because it's all part of the compensation scheme, they will be giving compensation out to blowpipes. So, if you want to go down and grab a load of McDonald's straws and put a projectile through them at the moment and make it a blowpipe, technically they're going to have to pay you compensation for your blowpipe. And let's just say we're going to test this. So we like to keep it, now that we've got Alex and Connor's back, we do like to keep it a little shorter on the stream. So we like to wrap up around, well, usually by 9. But there is one more thing that I do want to cover. But in the meantime, get your last minute questions in, and we'll try and fly through them in the end. But the one thing that I really want to talk about, which is going to be, there's going to be a lot of videos about this, is that we have been working with a chef. He is the chef director of the Pig Hotels, if you know of those, and he's called James Golding. And he's been involved with Gunroom TV and other videos in the past, but we are actually releasing a series which is going to be, it's sort of a sub-channel of Gunroom TV, which is Gunroom TV Food, and it's going to be James Golding on game. So he's all about game shooting and using game within his menus across all of the pigs, and he's a huge supporter and even founder/co-founder of Field to Fork. So he's all about using local produce in all of the restaurants and the Pig Hotels. Again, there's another video on Gunroom TV of the pig down in Coombe. Go and have a look at that, because they grow all of their, well, the majority of their fruit and veg out in the gardens of the hotel. So it's an incredible place, and it's all about making use of all the game that we end up shooting, be that deer, be that pheasant or partridge. And if you saw the post on Facebook, you would have seen that we were down there filming a number of videos, and I did get to sample some of his amazing cooking. But we're going to try, I don't know if this is 100% confirmed yet, but the plan is we are going to do a video on English shooting, where James is going to come up and actually teach me how to make a couple of really nice dishes with game. And he's gonna
This is news to me.
He's gonna give me a rating of how I do. So I don't know how that's gonna go.
I'm going to write that rating down on a piece of paper, put it in a sealed envelope, and we'll see if it's accurate. By
That's
the
it. We should do the reveal on the stream, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all really exciting.
Spoiler alert! I'm going to write down a negative number.
And then I'm going to times it by -1. I'll be all good. So I'm currently editing the sort of preview video for that series. It's a little bit different using cooking footage, well, editing in cooking footage rather than shooting footage, because, well, that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years, but it's something a little different, and very, very excited, and it's making me very hungry just thinking of it. But yeah, that's just a catch up on all of the news. I can't see any new questions.
There's quite a few new questions, but I think
But we
time's
are
up
out
for
of
the
time.
day.
Yeah.
so
I think Alex wants to get in. Connors is done. I am done.
I
Just
need to
about
go
holding
sit
it
in a
together.
car with air conditioning on it.
Absolutely, you and me.
And I've got these pickled eggs to crack open.
Oh dear.
Oh,
Please-
yes.
Please do that well away from me.
And I'm opening
No,
them now.
no, don't do it. Anyway, no, get it. No.
Whoa!
No.
Have a sniff
No.
of that. Oh, that's
No.
good. Well done, Dan. Oh, I'm looking forward to some of that. It's
Okay.
beautiful here.
Right.
Have a-
Oh. So yeah, on that note, I just got wet.
That's some potent stuff.
Oh
That is some
Jesus!
potent
Anyway,
stuff.
we're really sorry if we didn't get a chance to answer your question, but we really appreciate everyone joining in the stream. Before you all go, please make sure you've hit that thumbs up button. It really does help with the YouTube analytics. But yeah, this is what we do every single week. We really hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you to Alex and Connors for joining me and making the stream possible. But yeah, really appreciate you guys getting involved, joining us. And it will be same time, same place next week at 7:30 on the EnglishShooting YouTube channel. But there we go, guys. Thank you for joining. Really hope you've enjoyed it. And as always, we hope to see you soon.